Hey folks, Dan Cavallari, Slow Guy on the Fast Ride here with a pretty interesting video for you today. You can see I got my bike in the stand, and that's because, and it's got some really cool bags on it, and that's because in a couple days, I'm actually hopping a plane to Europe for the first time since before COVID to cover the Tour de France. Now, I've covered the Tour de France several times. Usually the process involves renting a car and driving from the beginning of the stage to the end of the stage, setting up in a press room, and then doing it all over again in a car. I thought this year, since I'm only going to be at the tour for the first 3 stages and a few days before it to cover the prep that all the teams go through, I'm going to be kind of in one central area in Denmark. And I thought I should cover this by bike. There's no reason for me to rent a car. Copenhagen has some of the best bicycle infrastructure in the world, not to mention some of the best public transportation. I think I can do this completely by bike. That's what I'm going to try to do. So I'm going to pack up my Merlin Extralight here, and this is going to go in an Oru case, B2R travel case. And my goal is to basically get off that plane and rely only on my bike or on trains if the duration of where I need to go is more than I can handle in one day of riding. So some of the transfers between stages are up to 150 miles or something to that effect. Probably not reasonable for me to do that kind of mileage while trying to also cover the Tour de France, so I may take some trains. But I'm going to be in Copenhagen for a few days before the tour even starts to try to go to team hotels and get photos and interviews with riders. So it seemed like a great opportunity to do this all by bike and explore what makes Copenhagen so special and what we can learn from that here in the US. On that note, let me give you a quick rundown of the gear I'm using, and I want to note that I am not sponsored. This video is not sponsored at all. So none of the brands that are on my bike right now have paid me anything to be here. Basically, this is the stuff I chose because I thought it would be useful for my trip. Now, one of the trickiest things is going to be stuff management for me. So once I fly to the airport, I'm going to unpack the bike and build it right at the airport. I'm going to have to rent a locker at the airport to store my B2R case from Oru case. So that's actually really handy because the Copenhagen airport has some decent sized lockers where I can store that stuff. Once I unpack the bike, everything I'm bringing kind of has to either go on my back or on the bike. And so I've got a big, heavy camera bag that I'm going to bring because I have a lot of photo equipment. That's going to go in a nomadic camera bag that I have. Unfortunately, that's really the best way for me to handle my camera stuff. It's got to go on my back. So that's kind of a bummer. But in that light, I want to make sure that everything else I have to carry is not on my back. So it's going to go in these bags. Now, you can see that I've got an Ortlieb top tube bag. Haven't quite decided if I'm going to need this yet, but I'm just trying it out for now. I've got this Tailfin Pannier system and a Tailfin Pannier bag. Usually I would run 2 of these bags, but on the other side I've got something a little different. If you'll excuse me for just a moment, I'll go over here and I'll remove this. This is from Two Wheel Gear, and it's called the Pannier Duffel. And this is really neat because it's a big duffel bag, lots of space. This is where all my clothes and all my equipment that basically is not going to be my camera stuff, it's all going to go in here. And what's really neat about this is on the back, you can see, once you unzip this flap, which covers it up when you're not using it, you've got these adjustable pannier hooks. And so it can work with almost any pannier system. And so basically that means anything else I bring, my clothes, it's all just going to hang right off the bike, which I think is super cool. Is it going to add a lot of weight where it affects, the handling of the bike? I don't know. We'll see. But this is really a neat option that I'm stoked to check out. To get around in Copenhagen, I've never been to Copenhagen, and it's a big city. So, everything's pretty well marked there because the bicycle infrastructure is pretty good, but I still have no idea where I'm going. So I did preload a few maps onto my Hammerhead Karoo 2. And the reason I chose the Karoo 2 is because one of the claims that Karoo makes is that their navigation is bar none the best out there. You can add points of interest along the way in real time while you're riding. I think that's going to be very important for me because one of the things that I need to do once I get to Copenhagen is go from hotel to track down riders before they go out on their practice rides. And so I'm not going to know all those addresses until sort of the last minute and where I'm going next. So this will be pretty handy. And again, I want to remind you, nobody in this video has sponsored this video. This is all just stuff I chose because I thought this is what would be most useful. Now, the reason I'm doing this is partly because, I do think it'd be easy to get around Copenhagen by bike. I think it'll be more fun. And again, if I was going to be covering the whole tour, probably wouldn't be feasible for me to do this. But since I'm going to be in a fairly centralized location, it seemed like a no-brainer to sort of put Copenhagen's infrastructure to the test and see what I can learn about what we as Americans can learn about our cities. It's not impossible to do this. It's not impossible to cut down car traffic and car usage in this country. We just need to take steps to make it easier for people and safer. So I want to see what I can learn from being in Copenhagen for the week. So my Merlin Extralight with my Hunt wheels, Enve cockpit. I'll do the full rundown below. You can see everything that I'm using. And I'm going to pack it all up into my Oru Case B2R. I'm going to head to Copenhagen here in a couple days. I'm going to keep a daily diary here to let you guys know how it goes. So please do check slowguyonthefastride.com or at slowguyonthefastride on Instagram. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can also follow me at slowguyfastride. And I'll be giving you guys updates about how it's going, the challenges, the best parts of it all, what I'm learning, you name it. So if you have questions, now's the time to ask. Go ahead and put them down in the comments below. You can also hit me up on the website or on social media. I'm happy to answer your questions before I leave, while I'm there, and after. So keep an eye out. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for the next videos.